Alright guys, what we are doing here is putting caps in the ends here because we want a way to mount our faceplate that we're going to put on our fancy faceplate. So what I've done is I've took and cut us a bunch of these right here, and it doesn't matter if it's got a hole in it because we can just relocate the holes for our threaded piece, because we're going to thread this for screws to hold the front on, and thread this in two places here to hold the other face on. So what I've done is I put washers. I'll just take it apart and show you what I did so you understand what's going on here. Alright, what I found was a piece of metal I cut 3 pieces out of. Alright, so I wanted to weld that in there, but I need a way to hold it so it's straight and even and square. So I drilled a hole in it, and I decided to go ahead and put a bolt in it, but make sure you put a headed bolt on it, hex head, because if a weld hits this and welds it to where you have a hard time getting it out, you better have a way to be able to get a socket on the other side through the pipe. So you just anticipate a weld problem, but we're going to try to prevent that from even happening, so we're just taking extra precaution. And then I put 2 washers on it, and that's going to make it deep enough to allow me enough weld to hold it so that when I grind it off flat, it'll look nice and it'll be below the surface. So then I put this on here just to keep it from falling through and to keep it level with the top of this. So we'll take this nut and put it on there. And then we just need to do it hand tight. We don't need to have it tight. And then we'll set that right in there, and that will fit in each one of those. So I'm just going to weld here and here on all 3 of these, and I'm just going to spot weld them each corner. I'm not going to do a big old long weld across it. Just a spot weld's all we need. We're just holding a little old aluminum plate. So let's get started. Alright, so now what we need to do is go ahead and make our faceplate. So we're going to try to make these match as close as possible. So what we need to do, I was thinking of keeping this as a theme for it, to try to keep that in the middle and cut from here down to here, and that would leave this band right here for the volume knob and the switch. And I probably have enough of this to do both this piece and that piece, because I can cut this piece out of this little section right here, so that way we keep the band going across it, instead of using this on this end and no big brown or black band. So we're just going to use this. So the next thing we need to do is I need to cut that off square. I got to take that to the bandsaw and cut this line. So we're going to take and cut this line right here. And this line right here. Let me go get my magic marker. Alright, well, I'll remember where it's at. It's hard to see that line. But I'll take this over to the bandsaw and cut it straight across. Cut this piece and this piece out, and we'll be back. Alright guys, now we got these welded in and flattened off. We've made these plates. That one's going to go right there. This one's going to go right there. Now what we're going to do is, on this one, we're just going to get as close to the center as possible without hitting that. I would like to have moved that hole somewhere else, but if I would have, I wouldn't have been able to get in to weld it. So this will hold it just fine. I can probably put the 2 screws right there, and that will be plenty. So what we need to do is figure out where we're going to put them screws. So the way I'm going to figure that out is I'm going to mark this where I want it. Same thing with this side. So I got a little bit off. That one's not, but this one is. Alright, then we'll come over here and mark this side where it's going to go. And that drill right, see what I was getting ready to do? I was getting ready to screw up. I need that up here. So I hate it that it's going to be on half the material and half the metal. But oh well, that's where we're going to have to do it on both sides. So now I'll drill these 2 holes. Once we've got them holes drilled, then we will clamp this down on there, and then we'll mark the other holes, and that's where we'll tap it for whatever screw we're going to use. And the same thing over here, except since this is such a small piece, we're going to put 2 screws in it. So them 2 screws will go right, it's the same as the other one on the top, but then we're also going to put one at the bottom. So we're going to need a total of 4 screws to hold both these face plates on. So I'll drill them out, and we're going to try to do this without messing this up. And we may end up messing it up anyway, and if we do, then what we'll do, we'll go in here and mask this off from here up and from here down, and we'll paint that with the same color that we're going to paint the frame, which is black hammered. So that way the black hammered will match. So that it doesn't matter if the drill bit heats this up and messes it up. It ain't gonna matter. We can fix that. So I'll drill them and we'll be back. Alright guys, what we've done is welded these in, and now we've tapped these, or we've drilled them for this plate. So that plate will go on there just like that. Just like that right there. And then we've got another plate that will go on here just like that. So we've picked our screws, and I had a whole box of these bad boys. Some of them's wood screws, which ain't gonna work, but some of them are metal screws. So we don't need the washer, So we'll take some of these washers off. And we need 4 of them. And the beauty is they're brand spanking new. Now I don't have that tap, but I've got something close to it, I think. We're hoping it's going to work. If not, I'm going to have to rethink this situation. So we're going to go ahead and tap these out, get some oil first. Get Mr. Eagle out and put a little bit of oil on there. And we're going to tap this. Make sure you to keep it straight. So now, let's see how these screws work. Alright, we got that one. Alright, and then we've got that one. And I made these holes just a hair oversized just so we had some adjustment room. And there's our front pieces. Now I'll drill a hole here wherever the controller is going to go. So let's go ahead and get that ready. And mount the controller. So, alright, we got that going in there. I might have to turn it this way. The only problem is this is going to stick up. Of course, I do have the feet going on it. That'll bring it up. If I do it that way, I can bring the switch up further this way, or actually down further. And that will give me enough room that when I put my plate on it, it'll miss that bolt down there, no matter how big I go. So anytime you need to take the lathe off of the stand, you have to take this front panel off to get to that screw, which ain't no really big deal. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to turn this upside down. I'm going to make a little plate to go right here just to cover all this. And I got these that I want to try to incorporate on this. That goes to this. Alright, so we got those 4. And I also have the other part that we can put in here, drill a hole, put that in there, right about there, and weld that in, and then this here will not screw in it. Wouldn't you know? Oh, wrong size. Oh well. I could probably turn those into feet. So I'm just going to drill some holes right here that's just a bit bigger than this. And then we're going to set it down in there, and then we're going to tack weld it on 4 sides. So we'll be back. Alright, so now we've got adjustable feet. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut me 5 washers that will fit over top of this that are just as wide as this is, so it comes up level with the bottom of this. So once we get a piece or a washer made for these, then I'll just set them down on there, and then I'll weld them, and then I'll put some felt on the bottom of it. So I put 5 of them on it simply because this motor is going to be setting up off of it. It's always going to be kind of tilting towards the back, so figure do these 2, and the weight of the motor will keep this foot will keep the weight of the motor from tilting the lathe. Alright, I found another nut, and then this will go on here just like so. That should be a 9/16. Alright, then we've got our knob. We'll go there just like that. Alright, then we got our switch, which is not going to be this switch, so I don't want to cut too big of a hole and then find out that I've got too big a hole. So I want to wait until my switch is here before I make the hole for this one any bigger than that one right there. I'm hoping that since it's on, this is a 30 amp I think, so the 15 amp is going to have a smaller shank. So anyway, so now the next thing I need to do is go ahead and paint it. So, alright guys, we've got our adjusters, our feet, which is bolts right now at the time. And so what we got to do next is we got to make feet to put on these nuts or these bolts. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to find me a piece of my 7/8 steel. I'm probably going to take this 7/8 steel and drill that out so that this slides in it, and then just kind of just clean the outside of it up. It ain't gonna be that one because it's crooked, and just cut off pieces that are thick enough to go there like that. Then we'll just put that on there and weld it. I was kind of hoping for something a little bigger than that. But we'll figure something out. I know what I can do. I can chuck that up in the lathe and turn that head off of there, and then just put a small piece of felt on it. That's what I'm going to do. So we're going to take these and put them in the lathe, and we're going to chop the top of them off. So there we have it. We just need to clean the edge off with the grinder a little bit. We'll put some felt right there, and that'll work. In fact, you know what? I really don't even need to do that. All I need to do is take the I'll show you. So we're going to get another one and do this differently. We're going to take just the face off of it. We're going to leave the hex. That way if we need to turn it with a wrench, we can. So yeah, I think we'll just take that ridge off instead of taking all of it off like I just did that one. Yes, that looks better, but if you ever want to grab a hold of it and maybe the thread got a little something on it and you tried to turn it and it got stuck, you wouldn't have no way to get it out of there except for with a pair of pliers. And then the pliers will just put marks in it. So let's try to make it so that we can at least still have control with the wrench and be able to use it as a tool. So we're just going to take the lip off. I think that will do better. We'll just put some felt right there and you'll still be able to use the wrench to adjust it. So we'll make 5 of those and we'll be back. Alright guys, what we did was just took the ridge off, and now we're going to take some wood glue and we're going to glue these little felt things on the bottom of it. And how I got those is I just took a hammer and one of these punches and just cut me a bunch out of it. So again, the green felt came in handy. So we're just going to put a dab bit on this if it ain't clogged up on each one of them. Might be too much. That we can put on this. So now we need to find something to set it on, because I don't want to set it on the carpet because it'll squeeze around that and then it'll glue itself to the frickin' thing. We need stuff to set it on. So to start off with one end, we can use this. Right there. Maybe a piece of this aluminum on the back side. And this piece of aluminum on the front side. Alright, so now I'll let that set overnight, and that should have it. So frame is set up. We got the face plate made and it just slides in there just like so. Screws on the front. But we'll wait for that. So we're just going to wait for the glue to dry on the feet and the paint to dry, because I put a couple fingerprints in it because it's not completely dry. I'll probably put another coat on the top here. Anyway, I got a hair crossways or something, man. Drive me nuts. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this part of the Craftsman Lathe Restore 109. Hope you got something out of it. learn how to do something anyway. Anyway, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. You guys have a good one. Later.